Hi guys, I'm Benji, the host of the Sling Den, and today I've got the 22nd episode, and I have one of my good friends from the community coming on. He's one of the best shooters in the UK, and he put on a very successful shoot a couple of months ago. So I'm really excited to get him on, and that is none other than Mr. Andy Maund. Yo, Andy, how you doing, my friend?
Hello, mate. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, tip top.
So obviously I know you watch a lot of the Sling Den. You've seen a lot of guests come on, usually ask you questions. Now it's time for you to come on. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, all good.
Good. So obviously I usually, you probably know the script by now. I usually get people to kind of explain a little bit about themselves, what got them into shooting, how old were they when they first picked up a frame, all that kind of good stuff. So, I've got to know you over the last sort of year and two, but for the people that don't know you, give us a quick idea of who exactly Andy Maund is.
I'm Andy. I live in Wales with a wife and two children. I shoot for Team Grizzly. New member of the SF committee. I will try to organise some online, bits of fun. Try and get people involved in that. And that's it. Really, I attend as many competitions as I can. Ones that are close enough for me to go to. And that's about it, really.
And give us a quick kind of background on you, and when did you first decide to pick up a catapult and why?
Well, he wasn't my granddad, but he was like my granddad. He took me out when I was about 5 or 6 to the woods, and we cut a natural fork, and he banded it up for me. I think it was squares. I'm pretty sure it was like real thin, like 2 or 3 mil squares and little stones. Shooting at big oak trees, like big wide. And as soon as I was hitting that from 5-6 meters away, move back a bit and then go down to a smaller tree, and then until I started shooting and getting consistent and using the tree as my target. Back then, that was I was pleased to it.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years later, when I was 9, 10, whatever I was, I took my first game, which was pheasant and a rabbit on the same day.
Nice.
And I was hooked from that first hit on that big oak tree. That was me. Hooked. And then I shot right through my teens up until my late teens, like 17, 18. And then other things took over, and I didn't shoot then until lockdown. When we was only allowed half hour out or an hour out of the house. Exercise, I took the kids out and done exactly the same thing. They picked the fork, they cut the fork, they sanded it, they done everything to it. I just tied on some elastic. And they looked like to shoot, and I taught them how to shoot, and they both of them got pretty good, and especially Jake, he done a couple of online comps. He won one of them. Paige she done one online comp, and she was smashing an 80mm spinner. She was hitting it like 8 and 9 out of 10 and then when she went live, she missed everyone. And she said, "No, Dad, I ain't doing that again." That's it. So, but Jake won. He won one of the Celtic Catties junior competitions. They give it up now. They're both, they're 17 and 19, coming up 19 now, and no interest in it at all. They both drive now, so try to get them to go for a walk with a catapult is impossible.
And it's nice to see that, because obviously you've done exactly the same thing that happened with you. You've obviously seen it as a good experience when you were younger, and then you've obviously gone and done the same thing. But what I can imagine, one of the biggest takeaways from that is how much things have changed, because we are still using a Y-shaped frame and elastic to shoot something at something. So the principles are all still the same, but obviously things have drastically changed. When you went back then all those years and you picked up a frame again, What for you was the biggest difference?
Elastic. It was. I think the only time I ever saw a bit of flat band when I was growing up was, remember the postman's bands? They used to be about an inch wide, didn't they? And about 1.5 mm thick. That was the nearest thing that we ever see to flat bands growing up. The rest of it was like inner tube and things like that. And then I don't know, when I was 11, 12, when Black Widow started it in the local tackle shops and that. You used to be able to buy spare band sets for them, so that then we just go in and we get a couple of tube sets that was for to be slid onto the Black Widows, and we just tie them onto the tabs, and that would be our band sets. That's the first time we ever had a proper pouch was buying them. Looking back, they're not much of a pouch, really, are they?
And coming back to it, what made you really kind of look at it? Because obviously there's been so many changes and things like that, not just only in the equipment, but the way they're shot and things. I can imagine sort of 20, 30 years ago, a lot of the time it was that upright kind
everything
of.
up until lockdown. I'd never seen somebody shoot a catapult gangster. Everything was upright.
Well, this is it. And when you came back, was there anything or anyone in particular that kind of spurred you to get back on it?
I went on YouTube, and like everyone, the first person that comes up is Gamekeeper. So I just watched some of his, and I thought, well, I'll try that, and I found it so much more comfortable, especially for repetitive shooting. Like when you're shooting upright, like your wrist, it aches because it's not a natural hold, if you understand what I mean. So after, I don't know, a dozen shots, you'd have to stop because your wrist was starting to ache. Whereas with Gangster, I can shoot that all, especially with my setups, I can shoot that all day without any issues.
We'll get into your baby setups a little bit later, but so obviously, we've watched that. What frame did you pick up then? What was your first frame? I know you said that you were going out in the woods with the kids and you were getting natties made, but what was the first frame that you then bought when you got back into it?
I don't know if I ever bought a frame. I think when I come back in, of course, I had Milbros when I was kids. Shit, we all know they're not very good. But I think the first frame I done a deal on a natural I'd carved with a boxing glove in it, and I done a swap for the very first ever PPMG.
Okay.
Prototype of it.
Yeah.
So I shot that for a while, and didn't really. I wasn't really my sort of frame. And then I think the second one was Evo.
Okay.
I thought, it's like the hammer grip. I can shoot the hammer grip, and I can shoot it well, but I prefer a brace.
Yeah.
So I think I swapped the PPMG for something else in this. But I say the first one I bought, the wife bought me, and that was 2 Christmases ago. Or not even 2 Christmases ago, yeah. And that's the first time I'd ever paid money for a frame.
What was that?
It was a Prime Fork PFX2.
Nice.
And that's the first one that I'd ever paid money for. I've only ever bought 3 frames as it is.
And it's funny because when you first start shooting, you got no idea what you like and what you dislike, do you? Do you know what I mean? There's so many different shapes of frames. You can probably hone in on what you want your hold to be quite quickly, whether you want to be, hammer, brace, pinch. You usually find that out fairly quickly. But again, there's brace frames which I struggle to shoot. Then there's brace frames which I shoot really well. But it's only through trying so much you kind of get to know what frame you like.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So what was it when you come back into it? What sort of thing about what frame made you feel like, hang on, this is a bit of me. I'm shooting quite well with this thing.
It was just feel, because everything I'd only ever shot naturals, And then I cut myself a couple of board frames, and they were straight on the chimney. They was shocking. Just trying to, I didn't want to copy anyone else's, you know, like I was just drawing my own, and then sellotaping that to a bit of plyboard and cutting it out. I've tried loads and loads and loads, and then in the end I thought, I don't need a big thick handle. I don't, you know, like ergo frames. I ain't got the biggest of hands as it is. And then because I thought, that looks comfy. So I started laminating bits of ply together to make a big, and it was just, not for me. So I went back down to just like a 16mm ply, and then I figured out then brace works for me better than any other. So then I just started fiddling about with like brace designs and making them, and then I thought, right, brace it is, and I got, you know, pretty good with it.
And obviously, you know, now we've come a little bit further down the line from lockdown, and since you started shooting, I know you're quite active within the community. Tell me a little bit about what's kind of made you stick around. I know you said that, you know, you just love shooting. I'm the same. There's got to be something about the community as well, because obviously you're quite a big player within the community. You're quite active on social media, and, you know, we'll get into all the good stuff to do with, you know, setting up shoots and all that sort of stuff. But what is it on a whole? If you could put it into, you know, one kind of sentence, what is it about this hobby that keeps you sticking around?
It's the community. There's not any one thing that keeps me active in it. It's just everything about the community. Don't get me wrong, I've joined groups and I've had to leave them because there's some white muppets on there. And on some groups, I've tended to stop giving advice now, because you get people that have seen advice from someone that it's just wrong and basically copied it word for word. And I just think, well, you know, you're not really qualified to give advice that's correct, let alone advice that's wrong. So on some groups, I've withheld from advising, unless I see it too much advising wrong. Because you just get shot down, you know. People don't know how experienced I am. They say, "What do you know?" Well, exactly. What do I know? I'll leave you to it. But other than that,
I think from what I've seen, so obviously I can kind of remember from where I started to where I am now, and I can remember some of the questions I asked when I first started, and it's the same questions now. Do you know what I mean? When I see new people in the hobby, it's the same question: what band should I use for this, and what should I use for that? What should I do for this? How do I do this? So there's always going to be the same questions, because it's not really much you need to ask. You just kind of need to know, you know, there's a couple of basics and a couple of principles. However, I do find there's a fine line between giving wrong advice and giving advice that works for you. So that's one thing that I struggle with. Sometimes I'll see somebody say something like, I don't know, I'll give it as an example. So long draws better, or long draws, that is an opinion. It doesn't mean that it's true. It doesn't mean that it's false. For that person, that's what they believe. I wouldn't call that incorrect advice. Now, if I've got somebody saying, "Oh, I'm using 8mm steels, what's the best bands to use?" and someone's going, "Oh, you want to use 0.8s, mate? You know, 25-20 taper, yada yada yada," then that's wrong advice. So I do think there's a bit of a difference between wrong advice and people get passionate. Do you know what I mean? People get passionate about what they use and what they like. I've done it myself. You know, I want to kind of tell people this is what works for me. But also, if I'm not 100% sure of something, I'm not going to say it. And I think sometimes that's where people struggle. They think something, and you've just got to be careful of sharing what's your opinion and what's the actual truth.
Like advice on setups now, like if I always say this is what I use. I never say use this or try this, or I say this is what I use and it works successfully. Some people won't feel comfortable with my setup, but I am over the moon with it. I'm fully aware of my capability that I need placement over power. But like you just said then, people are shooting 8mm balls and they're using like 0.8 bands cut 25-20, and you just think, what? It's wrong. That is completely incorrect. And people shouldn't be advising people like that.
No, and we do see it. Do you know what I mean? We do see it, and again, it is difficult because, you know, a lot of if I give advice, it would be something around like if someone says, "What's the best frame to get?" A lot of the time, you'll see, you know, all the usuals, especially here in the UK. You know, Layton's, Wasp, Hegarty. You know, the usual kind of ones people go for. I mean, for me, the simple answer is get something cheap and cheerful whilst you're getting used to the hobby. You know, get used to the frame itself. You might get a couple of 4 kits, but if you've only paid 20, 25 quid for it,
I see someone the other day he just got into it. He's looking for his first catapult, and someone said, "Go and buy a John Jeffries." And I just thought, why would you tell someone? Don't get me wrong, they're the best on the market.
Yeah,
but you wouldn't tell someone to go and buy a £300-400 catapult as your first.
No,
as your first catapult.
No.
But whether he was taking a piss or not, I don't know. But he just fit. Why? There's 3 good suppliers of budget frames, the indestructible frames in this country. And like you say, for less than 25 quid delivered, you can either have wrap and tug, but clips are so much easier. Just go and buy something that you don't mind losing. If you're willing to try something and not get on with it, think, I was only 25 quid, I'll just chuck it in the bin. 25 quid, that's fine. But you got to buy even the mid-range frames, like the 80, £100 ones. I would never advise someone to get that, not until they know what they want. They've tried 2 or 3 little cheap frames to see what width they want, how the style they want, the setup they want. They want, you know, you get confident enough not to have 4 kits where you can concentrate on your shot placement and your method and not your outcome, and then move on to increasing the price. And if you want to, there's nothing wrong with them £20 frames. So,
well, you know, this is one of the points I like when people say go and cut a tree fork, because they're bang on. You know, they're on the money there. Cut a tree fork down; it's going to do the same thing. You know, and you know, as you know, I've recently got myself a Mustang from John Jeffries, but that's after 2 years of shooting. You know, can't remember the last time I got a 4 kit other than when I was messing around doing things with different bands and whatever else. But when I'm on my setup, I can't remember the last time I'm having a 4 kit. So one, I know what I like, what fork width I like, what my tips like. I know all the details to go out and invest in that sort of thing. But when you're first starting off, there's no way that it's worth you doing anything like that at all. Do you know what I mean?
So it takes hours to fine tune. It's took me 2 or 3 years of just trying it. You know, just half a mil here, a mil there, but I have put a lot of time and effort into fine tuning my setup and everything else with it, and I won't change. I won't alter.
And again, nothing. I think there's a big difference. There's 2 things you kind of need to do, which is difficult because they're both opposites. You kind of need to stick to the same thing, but you also need to be able to try out new things to know what you like and dislike. So it can be a bit of a minefield, because on one hand, you know, some people are saying stick to one thing, you know, get used to this taper and this ammo, and you think, right, yeah, that makes sense, because, you know, I'm just going to be concentrating on what I'm doing. And then on the other hand, you've got, well, hang on a minute, you might take this taper down a few mil, and all of a sudden that shot that keeps going high is going low. But a lot of the time it's about knowing what's happening during the shot. Are you going high? Going low? You know, are you sporadic? And it's about trying to find out, okay, I know what's going on. What could be the problem? And, you know, like you were saying, I've done the same thing, especially with bands. You know, frame wise, sometimes it's not even like I can look at a frame and go, I'm going to like that. It's just on feel. And, you know, you get to know certain things about the forks, whether it's the height of the forks or the depth of the top of the fork. So little things like that. But when it comes to bands, it took me ages, and I'm talking ages, to figure out, you know, what worked for me. But again, you know, it's a vice where,
and now again, you sort it out. Now you just stocked up on that band that you've
well, exactly. I've bought 5 rolls. I like the band, but you know, you for example, you gave me your taper. I tried it out. I could not shoot it to save my life. However, you're a sniper with it. It doesn't work for me though. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you can't give advice and be like, this is what you need, this is what works.
And that's why I said what I said a minute ago. Like I say, this is what I use, not you should use this, or if I give advice of what I use, I would never give advice to something I don't use, if you know what I mean. So I would never say, "Oh, go out with 0.75 and 9.5," because I'd never shoot that, so I couldn't advise that.
Yeah.
And if you listen to me when I advise it, try it. If it don't work for you, then nothing ventured, nothing gained. If it does, great.
And that's exactly it.
You weirdo, couldn't get on with it.
No, I couldn't get on with it at all. But again, I know you've given that advice to other people and they've got on with it and they're probably still shooting it to this day. So again, it is, especially when you first start off, don't expect to get a bit of advice and then all of a sudden, boom, light bulb moment, this works perfectly. You have to listen to some of the basics, and usually they're the answers that people give. They're usually the best. Just make sure. Go on. Do you need to answer it? I'll pause it.
That's right.
I need to plug my charger in. I'll edit this. That's fine.
Yeah, be quick. Right. It's just my nephew getting his push bike.
Sorry. Just let me know when you're good to go again.
Yeah, he just bring his bike through. Millie, out of the way. Millie.
That's too late. Don't you shut this door? Oh.
All right, mate. All right, lads. All right. I knew he was going to come while we were doing this.
Oh, good. So yeah, I didn't get on with it, but you've probably given that advice to other people and they've got on just fine with it. And I guess, that's what it's about. And sometimes it's about finding the real answers to the questions. So if someone's saying, try a few different things, make sure your ammo matches your bands and play around. That's probably one of the soundest bit of advice you can give. It's pointless saying, use this taper, this. Let people explore. And I've said it myself, the biggest single thing that I would say has contributed to my accuracy is making my own bands. And not because I'm some amazing band maker, but the amount of latex that I went through trying so many different things to get to work.
Can you imagine buying 3 sets for a tenner and trying different tapers? It costs a bloody fortune.
Well, this is it, and it's that fine tuning for me. Don't get me wrong. When I first started, I was buying band sets and stuff, and I kind of started getting to grips with, okay, this got too much, this got too much velocity to it. So this I'm struggling to hold, and my form is not as good. So I'll go down a point. So I've gone down from a 0.6 to a 0.55. Then I kind of figure, okay, this taper is making me do this. So I kind of before I started making my own bands, I started figuring out certain things about bands and the way they work and things like that. But the quicker you can get on to making your own bands, the quicker you're going to kind of get in tune with everything.
A roller band costs you about 16, 17 quid delivered, and a few pouches. It costs you about, I don't know, say 25 quid. For 25 quid, you're lucky to get 6, 7 band sets off people that make them. But for that 25 quid, you're going to make yourself 30 to 40 band sets, and you can try it. If you don't try, you don't learn, do you?
No.
If you mess it up, so what if that's got to go in the bin? You still only spent 25 quid. And it won't take you that long to learn to tie your own band. If you tie a shoelace, you can tie a band set.
Yeah. And again, it's the same as shoot, isn't it? It's just perfection through practice. You practice your shooting, you practice your banding, and eventually everything comes. You're not like, I'm the type of person where I want to learn everything there and now, and I quickly realized that ain't going to happen when it comes to shooting a catapult.
I mean,
So,
like tying a band is the most technical part of shooting. I wouldn't say it's the most difficult part, but it's the bit that you got to. Well, for me, if you're going to do it all.
yeah,
and it's no disrespect to band makers because they're making a killing. I can't believe there's that many people out there that don't tie their own bands, to be honest. But something that I would never even contemplated when I got back into shooting. And I'm a tight get though as well, so.
Oh, it definitely helps the bank, doesn't it? It definitely helps the bank. A lot of benefits in tying bands, but moving on to other things and more positive things. Obviously, the community itself. We've mentioned there are a few snags here and there, but for the most part, it's a great place to be. Do you know what I mean? Everyone generally gets on for the most part. There's not really a huge toxic kind of vibe in most groups, but like you said, there are
down by people. If you do get the odd arsehole in there, the decent ones do shoot them down straight away. So it does pretty much govern itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. If you do see something you probably shouldn't see, or usually you're ready to kind of question it or have and you go down, there's a few comments on it already.
Yeah, exactly. You're never going to be the first one, are you? Because as soon as it's in,
everyone sings off the same hymn sheet. For the most part, everyone's got the same morals, the same principles, and they all
99.9% of us have. You just get the odd idiot. And the trouble is, that 0.1% are heard louder than what we are. But I showed that link a couple of days ago, just 2 miles from my house, where they shot the swan and just walked off.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But the trouble is now, if they see me up the mountain or shooting, they'll think, "Oh, was he the one that?"
Yeah, exactly. And
even though it was said it was kids, it's a middle-aged man shooter. Was that him? And
it's a completely different area. It's not.
Of course it is.
They're not people on our groups. They're not people that come to the shoots. They're not people who are watching this. They're not. Do you know what I mean? It's different. They're not hobbyists. They're not in it for the. They're not in it for the sport. They're not even in it for. They're not even in it for the mooch. No. They're just looking to cause trouble with anything. They just so happens to be a catapult. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But again, moving on to positive things. Shoots. Let's get on to shoots. So you put on my first shoot that I went to a couple of months ago, and I had such a good time. The whole thing was an absolute blast. I did a little video on it. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. But we had such a good time, and you were so stressed about how many people were going to turn up and how good was it going to be, and every single person come away from there saying, "Do you know what? That was one of, if not the best shoot we've been to." Yeah. So, give me your thoughts on it. Now that it's kind of the dust have settled on it a little bit, because we were going to do this episode before the shoot, and you said, "Hang on, let's do the shoot, and we'll kind of do it after, so we can cover it a little bit." So now the dust has settled. Tell me a little bit about.
I think it's definitely one of the best I've put on. It had everything, didn't it? It was. It had every rain, bright sunshine, the wind, the shooting had. That's the most side comps I've put on a weekend, and it fitted perfectly. The nighttime shoot. We had a crack there. That was brilliant.
We walked down the mountain, didn't we? We had a few beers and a few ciders. We ended up walking down the mountain to get a kebab. We had a couple more beers whilst we were waiting for the kebabs, and by the time we were walking back up the mountain, it was pitch black, and people were having to triple jump over puddles and falling into bushes.
I've done my knee. I was at the doctor's last week for my knee, and if it keeps playing up, we have to go back and have an X-ray. What's it? 8-9 weeks ago.
Yeah,
it's still bad now.
Yeah.
But Terence would make it. Terence jump out of his.
Yeah. But again, it was just, overall, and I think one of the biggest takeaways for me is, I shoot when I can, as much as I can in some ways. I don't over practice, but if I can have 20 minutes before work, I'll have 20 minutes. Or if the missus is with the kids and I can get out with the dogs for an hour, I'll get out. But what I liked about that was you're camping, you're with friends, you're with good people, and you can just pick up your frame and shoot whenever you want. There's targets everywhere. There's people cutting cans. We had, you know, cutouts of a rabbit, a squirrel, a pigeon. You can just have a few pops of them. Roland come along and brought his catch bow with a few different spinners and stuff like that. You can have a pop of that. It was just, you know, it was like dreamland for the hobbyist because you could just.
I think I'd done about 3,000 balls that weekend.
I did. I bought a whole box before I left, and I literally come back with next to nothing. I'd shot so much. I had a huge blister on my finger from my pouch. It was just.
We was there to shoot, so.
Well, this is it. This is it. And, you know, we stayed there, didn't we? The very first night I got there, we were up to like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, weren't we?
Just me and you sat there drunk with sacks on me.
Sat there chatting away, and I don't think I got a wink of sleep that night. It was so cold.
To be honest, getting on, just chatting so much, I didn't realise what the time was.
I know. And then, you know,
it's like it's like we've known each other for years, wasn't it? It was no nice to meet you. It was
straight in, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I woke up the next morning and I went down to Asda. I needed to use the toilet. I wasn't about to go in the trees for the first time. And I went and bought myself some more woolly socks just to keep my feet warm because, like I said, I didn't have a wink due to my feet being so cold. I come back up the mountain and I was in my car and I was going, right, I'm going to have a couple of hours sleep because the shoot's going to be on and, you know, I want to have a good night's sleep. So I'll get a couple of hours in now. So I'm feeling fresh. I get to the mountain. Selwyn's out there, you're out there, and everyone's just tinging away at things. And I'm like, there's no way I'm sleeping.
I woke up on a Friday in about 2 inches of water because my tent quite did rain, mine, didn't it?
There was a lot of rain. Yeah. And that day, the Friday went by pretty quickly. We got up Saturday, and that's when obviously, you know, it all kicked off and the competition started. But it didn't feel like a competition, you know. It was
like I said, it's just a bunch of men doing what they do. And yeah, brilliant.
And
best one I've got up there so far by country mile.
Again, I didn't know what to expect. You can see, you know, you can watch videos on YouTube and you can talk to people and they can tell you a little bit about their experience in it. But until you go, you really don't know what it feels like. And it just surprised me. The whole thing surprised me. It surprised me how nice everyone was. It surprised me how well put together it was. It surprised me how well I shot in comparison to other people. Because that's one thing that subconsciously you do think about. Maybe now if I go again, I won't think about it. But your first one, you're always thinking, there's going to be people there. I don't know how I'm going to shoot against these people. You know, I might be absolutely shy. I don't know because I've never shot against people before. And then you go there and you're like, hang on a minute, there's nothing to be afraid of. You know, everyone's just having a good time, and if you shoot well, you shoot well, and that's it.
Yeah. And well, I said that to you all leading up to it, didn't I? There's no competitive nature to it, apart from when we were splitting that can.
Yeah,
and that was it.
Yeah, we had a can. It was like a wind chime. It was about that long.
It was about 3 foot long.
First one to try and get it. It was literally holding on by the thinnest bit of metal, and unfortunately for everyone else, Andy managed to get it. But yeah, you said that would probably be the most competitive kind of thing that we were going to do, and you were right because the rest of it, I was just having a laugh. You know, I didn't. In the back of my mind, I kind of was keeping tabs of how I was shooting, but I didn't let it affect me or stress me or make me panic. It was just.
If you let it do that, it'll ruin the weekend for you, won't it?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we all want to perform well. But if you don't, there's always next time, and there's
yeah. And you know, you've been to a few shoots. You know, that being my first. What do you think is next for shoots? How do you think they kind of progress now? Because you know we've turned the corner now where the hobby is growing massively with the help of social media and things like that. There's a lot of new people coming in, as well as a lot of, you know, the old school people who are still about. And how do you think we kind of keep this, you know, these meets and these competitions fresh? How do you think that that's going to be driven forward in the future?
I think if you can keep them running like clockwork, if you can have them regularly, advertise well in advance so people can plan their, you know, if they've got to book a Friday off work or you know, they've got to plan dogs to be looked after or anything like that. Keep it interesting. You know, don't just do the one discipline at each time. You know, it's make it appealable. You know, to kids, to women, to families. Like I think that's, without jumping down a rabbit hole of, big world championships and European championships. I think the UK scene is pretty good, to be honest. Like, you get the little club shoots, you get the main ESF ones in the what are they called? UK. Yeah, UKSA. They got their ones up north. I think it's a good balance, good mix.
There does seem to be a lot of shoots. The only thing I would personally say is that they probably would be advertised a little bit better. You do see them now and again, but I think it was because me and you talk quite often over social media and stuff like that. We had messaged and you said you're having one on, but again, like you were saying, it goes into the planning side of things. Some people are lucky enough to just be able to drop everything at a drop of a hat and turn up. I haven't got that.
No, I can't either.
Well in advance. And I think sometimes if you can just promote something a little bit and have it out there, you've got a lot more chance of more people turning up. But now that I've been to one, next year I'm so eager to get to more. And just again, it's not just about the shooting. Even though I come away with a trophy, what I come away with more was friends, and the experience. And when I go back, I want to go back just to see the people again. Catch up with everyone.
That's what it is. When I go to a camping weekends, to me the shooting bit's a bonus. I love the shooting, but I love the night time when you're sat around the fire. You've all had a few beers, you're all talking rubbish. Everyone's taking the piss out of each other. That to me is what makes the experience of the weekend.
Sending videos to the Americans like Paul Reddick, sending abuse over, saying how much better the UK comps are.
It was brilliant, I think. But that to me is what makes the weekend.
It's a big part of it.
All the boys and having a crack, and because it is.
You've always got someone like you.
You haven't got no one up there to shoot with. I've got a couple around here, but it's not. I go see Terence once a week, and I've got my mate Di up the other side of the mountain. He comes over, Roland. But most of the time is when I'm shooting on a dog walk. So to get there with 20, 30, or last year, so shoot those 80 other people there, it's brilliant.
So would you go into a competition? Because I certainly would now. If I was given advice again, I'd go to a competition up in there, as one of my top things to do. I've mentioned mine is probably number one would be make your own bands, but go into a shoot just to get around people and really understand that you don't need to be competitive. You will
learn if you've never been to a competition before and you're a new shooter. If you go, even if you just go to watch, you will learn so much from so many different people. Like my setup here is set up over there. It could be a valley between the two setups, but he might say, "Oh, what if I try that off him and this off him, and just try that when he goes home?" Miss.
Well, even techniques, you're seeing people with, and I'm not just talking different grips and just the way people even drawing the bands back. Everyone knows by now, I've got a funny kink when I pull my hand up. We had Jake Foot who got a high elbow. People all shoot differently. The head tilts of people are all everything's different. And you look at it and you go, one of my takeaways was, I'm past this stage now, but I thought if I was a brand new shooter, I think I've been putting all this pressure on to making sure everything got to be spot on. And don't get me wrong, for the most part, your technique needs to be sound. Technically, you need to be sound and you need to be doing all the right things. And most importantly, doing everything consistently. But when you look at how people are shooting, and, these are good shooters and, they're shooting consistently well, but they're all a little bit different. Do you know what I mean? Oh, yeah. And I think as a new shooter, like you said, if you go there and watch, you'll go, hang on a minute, I've just got to, relax a little bit and just get on with it. Because again, a lot of the time you're watching video and you're comparing yourself to people, and it's the wrong thing to do a lot of the time.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. My shooting is so methodical. The first thing I put is my feet, and I make sure they're in the right, and then I come up, and the last thing I do is aim, which sounds funny, but a lot of people put out and then draw back, so they're already aiming. But I draw out, and then I shoot. Don't ever watch me anything because I shoot far too fast.
And again, that's the thing, is there's things which aren't technically sound that I know that I do, that would probably be bad advice, but for the most part, it's because I can't get rid of it. That's just naturally how I draw my bands, or how I do this, or how I do that.
I
And I've had to adapt.
And I would never tell anybody else to do it. It's just, if I picked it up as a habit one day and didn't realise it, I don't know. But when I realised it, it was
already
to fix it. And when I tried to fix it,
it's too late.
So,
and again, it's that little bit of conversation we've had just there is the sort of things that you'd have with everybody. This is just me and you right now, but imagine 30 odd people with all these different bits of experience and all this little bit of advice that they could give. There's a lot. So I definitely put it up there. But if I could quickly get your top 3, if you were to give it top 3 tips to a brand new shooter right now, what would it be?
The first one, which will be the main one to improve any shooting, is practice. You can't. There's a shortcut to everything but experience. So practice. Don't over practice though. Which, I'm going against it now, but don't do more than 20, 25 shots at a time, and then just walk off, turn around, do whatever, come back and do another 10, 15, 20, 25 shots. If you're really new to shooting and you're struggling to hit a can in a catch box, shoot from 6 meters, and then practice at 6 meters until you feel comfortable to move back to 8 meters or 7 meters, and then come back. And if you want to be a 10-meter shooter, work your way back to 10 meters. If you want to do different lengths in shooting, obviously just work back, but mix it up a bit. Go out to 15 meters, then come back into 8 meters, and then go out to to try to keep it interesting, not boring.
Because you can practice for a long time, can't you? But you've got to keep it interesting.
You can over practice.
You want to go back to it. Do you know what I mean? I've done that. I've just created little games in my head or little challenges for myself. I can't just stand there at 10 meters and smash a spinner, regardless of the size. If I'm going for a 25, it makes it more challenging, but I get bored. If I'm just trying to do that all the time, I want to do different shots at different heights, different distances. There's loads of things that you can do to keep it interesting. But
20 minutes, half hour on a catch box, and that's me. That's me done. But then I know tomorrow I'll come back and I'll be able to pick up where, not every day obviously, because we all have bad days, but I know I can go and do another half hour tomorrow, and it'd be as if I'd done an hour. If you understand what I mean.
And again, you can do bad practice because,
of course, you can.
Again, you can go too far and you just build yourself a bad habit. You also need to know what you're practicing for. So, for example, it's no good you being a brand new shooter and trying to practice at 15 meters, 20 meters, and stuff like that. I do that because I can practice at 10 meters. If I'm doing a 10-meter shoot and I'm doing a competition, I'll have a good few days where I'm concentrating on my 10-meter shots. But if I'm going out for a mooch, I want different targets, different heights, different distances, and stuff like that. I'll chase a can, for example. So it's about putting into practice what you're actually going to be using your catapult for as well. It's you've got to make it applicable for what you're actually doing. So it's getting used to that as well as a beginner, getting used to.
But to improve,
why am I practicing?
Yeah, to improve, my number one bit of advice would be practice. You can't just pick it up and expect to hit 10 out of 10 on a 40 spinner from 10 meters. It's not going to happen. It's going to take you a long time to do that. So don't feel downhearted when you can't do it, and you see people that can do it, but they've been shooting years and have put the practice in. Second would be technique. You got to get your technique down to a T for you. Don't copy other people's techniques, because like we were saying, it's different for every folks different, and they look at what they're doing, but try this. But when you start getting better and improving, your technique will click.
Yeah.
In time. It's like everything. Kids can't ride push bikes without stabilisers on the start, can they? So get your technique sorted. And the third thing is probably keep confident in yourself. Because it's a confidence sport. If you're confident you're going to do well, you're likely to.
Yeah.
But if you think, don't fancy this one, or you're going to start missing this. Keep that confidence going.
It's the mindset, and if you believe you're going to hit something, you've got a much better chance. Yeah.
If you're feeling, I don't know about that, you're not going to hit it.
And just touching on what you're saying about technique, if you do something, if you're brand new and you slightly tweak something, and all of a sudden you're starting to hit, it sounds a bit stupid, but make sure you keep that as a thing. Yeah. Right. So I've
realised what you've done.
Whether you've moved your ankle or you've raised your elbow a little bit more, or you're releasing your pouch, further on your knuckle, or whatever it might be. If you start being a bit more consistent and you're doing something a lot better than you were, make a note of it if you have to. Exactly. Just remember, this works for me, because people got different body types, different heights, different everything. So just remember what works for you and just try and make that a habit.
Oh, nothing comes easy, and nothing's given straight away. Like, you've got to work at it, and don't get me wrong, there are a couple of shooters that are just naturally gifted, but most of us have had to work and put the hours in and figure our technique out. And what you just said is spot on. I know shooters that shoots with his hand down like that and pinch. It just looks wrong, but he's Lockie's a bloody good shooter.
Yeah.
So just think, like you said, if something works and you start getting a consistent hit, think, right, what have I done different there? And then think, right, well, that works for me then. And then don't change it. Once it works, it works.
Yeah.
And that's probably my three tips for new shooters.
Good effect.
Practice. Method, technique, and confidence.
Perfect. Right, Andy, I've got some questions for you. When I say some, I think this is the most amount of questions that I've had. Now, I do have to warn you, some of them aren't questions. I think it's a few of your mates having a bit of a laugh with you, but you know what the Sling Den's all about. I'll ask anything that people's got to say, well, within reason, not getting banned off YouTube, but I have got a load of questions for you. I have put a little post up in the private group for any members of the Sling Den. So if I do get a member come in, they'll ask their question live. And just quickly on that, if you want to become a member, hit the join button and you can come in and ask your question live to the guest. But there's no one there at the moment, so we'll move on to the questions. So let's have a look.
Piss off.
So we've got one by Chuck and Steel. His question is, what is it about slingshots that keep you in for the long haul? So I know you've touched on that already. If you want to give a quick, anything you want to add quickly to what you've already said on that?
I love shooting and I love the community. It's just, there's nothing other than that, basically.
Yeah.
Go away. She's winding me up. She's. Other than that, I love it. We're all big kids at the end of the day, aren't we? And we all like shooting projectiles. So, and I love it. And the community, like I say, I like the American guys. I always jump in on their YouTube if I can. If I'm still up. So come on,
you usually are in your kitchen.
And and that's basically it.
And then we've got Laurie Valente. What's up, Laurie? She says, for tournament shooting, what's your favorite setup? Pouch, ammo, latex, frame width, style examples.
I've got my GZKHH is my go-to. I don't know if you can see a little pouch there. It's just a microfiber. I don't know what names they are. I don't know who makes them. But when I started shooting one of them, I put all my pit pouches back in the box because I prefer them.
Mm-hmm.
And Sniper Sling 0.4, BSB 0.45, and they both got 1810 for indoor and outdoor shooting.
Nice.
150 active, 7mm balls.
There we go. Perfect. The next one's by Colton Donhauser. What's your favourite way to cook game taken with your catty?
Ooh. I think pigeon, cooked in garlic salt, then into a wrap with a bit of lettuce and sweet chili sauce drizzled over it. Wrap it up and get it down here. Very beautiful.
Nice. Can't go wrong with a bit of pigeon. Slingshot Underground. What do you believe would be best for keeping in good graces with the general public? In other words, avoiding ridiculous licensing requirements or an outright ban.
I don't know. You've got to get rid of the idiots first, haven't you? How can you do that? That's the thing, isn't it? I've come across a lot of people when I've been out shooting, when I've been out with a dog, and they've loved it. Like one woman, she was 82, I think she was. I was down at the rugby club, and she came up. She said, "What are you doing?" I thought, "Oh, here we go." And I said, "Oh, I've got a little target there in the tree that I've been shooting at." She said, "Oh, yeah, that reminds me of when on a Sunday morning when she used to do the socks, and her dad and her brothers would be out in the lane shooting, and it was wonderful, like." But then you can see other people the way they're just walking up towards you. You've got to make sure you put that catapult away.
Well, this is it. You start feeling, even though you're not really doing, a lot of the time I've got, I'll have my catch box up in the woods or where I'm doing nothing wrong. I'm not littering. I'm not causing any, but you still, because of the perception, you kind of feel a little bit awkward, don't you? And
they will always see the wrong in everything. They won't say, "Oh, look, wow, look how good
he's
he is.
outdoors. He's getting a bit of fresh air. He's clearing his mind. They don't see any of that. It's like, what
and then they'll see, like recently around here, like the swan being shot, and they'll see me and they'll just think, "Oh, look, there's one of them thugs." And
a lot of the time, the easiest and best thing to do is just put it away. If you see somebody, it takes them 30 seconds to a minute to walk past you. Have a nice little break.
I don't shoot a lot of places where I bump into the general public, but
same.
You're always gonna, wherever you go, you're always gonna bump into someone, and because none of us only go out and shoot on permission. We all shoot on dog walk through on public land, and that we all do. Yes, people can't say they don't, but you're always gonna bump into someone. Just don't
be sensible.
Yeah, be sensible about it.
So the next one's by Chris Foster. He's had some great questions as of late, so let's see if this one matches up. What's your favourite thing about catapults and why? What's your go-to all-rounder setup and ammo size, which I know you've touched on, so we won't need to go into answering that one. And then, would you rather hit every shot you ever take but have to wear arseless chaps, or miss every 9 shots and hit one but have £1 million?
Can I have the £1 million and the arseless chaps? I'll take the money all day long.
There we go.
Yeah. 1 in 10.
Andy will not be winning any competitions anytime soon if he takes that option. And what's your favourite thing about catapults and why?
It's just when you get out, you're on your own and you're shooting. You just switch off. You could be anywhere. Any worries you got, anything like that? If you're out, it's therapy, isn't it? And that's probably it.
And the next one's by Sean Shag Hackleton. Shout out to Sean, long-time viewer of the Sling Den. He wants to know what style of shooting is your worst one you have tried and why, or how many 4 kits have you ever had? No fibbing.
God, I tried that long draw the other day. That soon warmed my cheek up. I come in, it was red raw. So I'd say long draw. That's just for weirdos, that is.
And what about 4 kits?
I lost count. You know, people
Everyone
say
has.
I've never had a 4 kit. I don't believe them.
Exactly. Everyone's had it.
Yeah, I've had. Only about 2 years ago, I had one of my best frames, and I've been shooting it solid. The only frame I was shooting for about 2 years, and never had to frame it. And I went out at 10 shots. I stood at the line, with a 10-meter line. 10 shots, I had 7 4 kits. And it's
Don't know why.
It just happened. That was it. No,
well, that's what I said happened with mine. I shot the same frame, near enough the same taper. So I was shooting the Skeleton with a 2015 taper for a year, and then you said, "Oh, try this taper," and every time I tried it, I got a 4 kit. It's just weird. I couldn't put my finger on it.
I've changed absolutely nothing. It still had the band set on from the day before when I was shooting it fine.
And you just
it's something, I don't know.
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the next one's by Ethan Martin of Tennessee Slanging. So what was the first frame you shot that just clicked and made you feel like a better shooter?
I don't think it was a frame, to be honest. I think it was elastic. Yeah, it was elastic. Don't get me wrong. I got a frame that I know the frame does make a shooter, but if you feel confident with a frame, you do shoot better. And that's the HH. It's one silver ever I've took it, and there's just something about that. I don't know, because like I say, it's not the frame that makes a shooter.
Yeah,
but you know, if you're confident, and
that's what I was going to say. It could just be a mind thing that you just think that frame is doing me good, and when I shoot it well. So next one is by Jake Foot, which I know you know quite well. If you could take one event regularly seen in other countries' competitions to add to the standard lineup here, and pick one we regularly see in UK comps to remove forever, approximately how many pints of baby batter did you have to consume before ESF let you in on the committee?
He's a prick, isn't he? I don't think we need any of the, because we already have it, the indoor shoots with the European Championship and the World Championship, the 10 meters. We already do that, so there's nothing there. I don't know, some of the Americans, like little side comps, they look quite fun. It's all about having fun, isn't it?
Some of the East Coast stuff, some of the things they've done. I mean, we do a few of them here, like we do the speed shoot, try distance.
Yeah, the speed shoot's good, but I like where they line the 10 cans up.
Yeah,
and it's that's but it's all about fun, innit? But yeah, that's about it really. The 10 cans. I know they do other stuff, but I can't think off the top of my head.
So the next one's by, well, we've got two from Phil Smith. I'll ask them both together. He wants to know, will you be getting a bigger wok to iron your shirt soon? And how long have you been interested in spiritual healing, and how has it impacted your life?
The wok, I've got the engineer in place making me one as we speak. It's a big one. This cheeky fucker. And spiritual healing. Do you know the story about that?
No.
You know, my wife.
What's the story behind
me on Facebook all the time, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Well, this time, instead of writing a stupid post about shitting yourself or something like that, she went to all these spiritual healing groups on Facebook and sent a join request. Look at her, she's there laughing at her. And then the next day, I kept getting these emails. Andy, you're now a part of spiritual healing groups, and she must have done it to about 18 or 20 different groups. And,
that's amazing.
Yeah, so that's what referencing.
That's what that's about. Right. So we got another one here, which John Jeffrey seemed to have liked. Is it true that Valleys Valhalla is secretly known as Brokeback Mountain amongst his closest friends? And does 10,000 calories a day diet help with Catty's shooting routine?
I ain't on a diet yet, yet, Dave. It's not down to 10,000 yet. Breakback Mountain. That's what my wife calls it as well. She said, you're going up there for Breakback Mountain again. He loved it up there. Dave did.
What's that?
I said Dave loved it up there.
He missed out. You missed out, Dave. If you're watching this, you missed out.
He come up to one last year or the time before? I can't remember, but he was up there. Yeah, he done well. I think his boy actually beat him, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got beat by his son, yeah.
Nice. Jessica Sullivan, which I know is slinging homemade shots. Would you rather be boxing or slinging? Oof, good question.
All day long.
Yeah?
Yeah. Now I'm too old for it.
They're both similar in some ways, but
it's
I
a
do
discipline.
yeah.
I'd like to go back 10 years just for one day and have one more fight and then come back and shoot.
I keep thinking about it, but I don't.
I'm 47 next month. And I've begged and begged and begged if she'd let me have one of these bare knuckles. But she said, no.
We'll set up a Slingshot charity boxing match.
I'll do something.
Sling them. We get.
She's looking at me now. She's giving me the daggers now. I'd love to go back and have another fight, but you know, it's a young man's game.
So we got Jay Green. Hello, my good friend. My question is, how did the online competition start? And do you reckon the Catapult Addicts or any other group pages could do something similar to get more people involved in online shoots? That's a good question, actually.
I think, I may be wrong, but I think Asa was the first one to do online shooting.
Okay.
I'm sure he was. And then when I first got involved in the online shooting, there was the UK Slingshot League was just starting its second competition, so it had already started, and I can't remember the two guys. I think it was Mark Finch and someone else. They started and they pulled out, and then Russ took it over. Russ Connor.
Yeah.
And we pushed it and tried it as much as we could. But during lockdown, we was getting 70, 80 shooters a week taking part in it, and then.
I think Dave did the same thing because Dave commented on it saying that he's been trying for years. But, you know, we've got such a big following in these groups now. You know, it would be interesting to see if we can try and get it going.
It gives people a good... Yes, I can understand why people aren't getting involved in it. Because it takes you 2 minutes to set up. You take 10 shots and it's a bit of fun. Oh, yeah. If you are competing. But just like a normal competition, you're competing there. It's just the fun of it.
Yeah.
And I think if the big bodies and the big groups got involved in it, I think it might entice a few more to come and take part. Because I think one day in the future it will be, as soon as China started doing it, it'll take off all over the world.
Yeah.
And some of the foreign countries that do the online competitions, like the I can't remember where they're from. Anyway, the scores they're putting in, they're hitting 99 out of 100 week in, week out on paper.
Crazy.
And it's crazy. And that's, I think it needs something to push it, but what? I don't know, I've tried my hardest and I just can't seem to. But you never know, one day, hopefully.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. The next one's by Slingshot Selwyn. He wants to know what your fascination with Terrence's Corey is. Congratulations on joining the ESF. Will we be getting more shoots organised from this? And if you got kicked out of Team Grizzly, what team would you join?
What was the first one? Terrence's cock. Yeah. It needs donating to medical science. Right. You see the picture of it. It's not right, is it?
I mean, you're not really avoiding the Brokeback Mountain comment. You know, we're talking about this sort of thing, but yeah, we were on the mountain when we and Terrence sent a particular picture to his Mrs. What was it? A kebab? His cock.
Yeah. I don't think that was a cock, was it? It was fucking... That was a rolled out toilet roll coming up like kitchen roll. It was fucking huge. It definitely used to have donated to fucking medical science. What was the second one?
Would you be getting on more shoots now that you've joined the ESF?
I've only been on there about 2 weeks. I don't really. Your voice laughing in this year. Me talking about. We'll see. We'll see. I can't really repeat what I've been told. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
fair enough. And then the last one is, if you got kicked out with Team Grizzly, what team would you join?
I wouldn't join another team. Once you've been a Grizzly, you're a Grizzly. There's no other.
There you go. Good answer. So we've got another couple from Slingshot Underground. I'll try and blast through them because they're quite in depth. So you see, with Catapult being devised as an unattainable tool for gathering game before being used as primarily for sport, do you think that official competition to stick to keeping accuracy and consistency as the main focus of competition, or would you like to integrate more playful events like speed shooting? Which I kind of think we do, when we add like the hunter's course aspect of it.
Yeah, you got the speed shooting. It's just a fun aspect, isn't it? It's not. For competitions. You need the what's it bloody called? You need the discipline of accuracy, whether it be on the hunter's course, 10 meters, 20 meters, 15 try distance. Accuracy is key in hunting. Like going back to when that's what it all was for. Accuracy was key. You can't kill something if you miss it.
And again, it's about having a bit of something for everyone. It depends what you want to do, what kind of shooter you are. For me, I got into shooting to take game. So for me, the one that I really wanted to do well in was the hunter's course, because that was the one that I generally practiced more for, because again, we wanted to take game humanely and all that kind of good stuff. So I'm practicing different.
I think hunter's courses are the ultimate competition.
Is what?
I think hunter's courses are the ultimate competition.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the one that shows the most kind of skill, the most versatility.
You've got a range of skill.
And we get some people who are just spot on at 10 meters and they're just snipers. And, I'm far from that when it comes to 10 meters. But again, when it comes to the hunter's course, different heights, different distances, some are between trees, you've got wind, you've got rain, it's a different ball game altogether,
Absolutely. And that to me is the ultimate prize in slingshot competitions.
He's got another one that says, as a born Englishman transported to Wales, who do you think would win in a head-to-head contest between the English and Welsh?
That's a good shoot with either side, isn't it?
It is. You're right. I think the important question is what would you count yourself as? Be careful how you answer this right now.
I'll be the referee. God, it'd be a good Royal Rumble, that wouldn't it? England v Wales.
So he has got.
It's a good shoot was either side of the water, isn't it? Either side of the Severn Bridge.
He's got another one during the pandemic, as the online leagues were still in relative infancy. Was there ever a moment when you and the rest of Team Grizzly imagined how broad your reach could become? He personally attributed a huge portion of his progress to Dave, Russ, Phil, Jake, the Kevins, yourself, and the rest of your team, along with many others out over there. You guys were basically coaching me live from the other side of the world. I can't imagine foreseeing something like that. These types of interactions that have built great friendships would have been impossible only a year or two earlier, which is a very good point.
Yeah, thanks, Gene. That's a nice question, that is, and it's who knew?
Yeah, exactly.
Who knew what was going to come of it? It was just we just wanted to get people having fun shooting.
Yeah.
Gene, he's awesome, genius. Love him to bits. He's one of the people I'd love to meet in person.
Yeah.
And that we've helped him individually and as a team. That's great. It really is. it
And that's
gives
what you
purpose
ask
to
for, isn't
to
it?
what we've done, if you know what I mean.
If you can encourage someone, inspire someone, help somebody,
Exactly.
and I've always said that the biggest thing for me, like my channel, for example, throughout, whether it's stuff that I've been sent or, I am monetized now. So I get a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. But the best thing I get is when someone has commented on something saying, I love that. It's helped me do this. Or I love that. I'm so glad I found this community. And that for me is just,
Well, it's worth more
if
than
I've
me, isn't
inspired
it?
one person or if I've helped one person, then I'm golden. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So the next one's by John Palfrey. What's your preferred setup for hunting and targets? So I guess what he's kind of asking there is, do you have a different setup that you go to between the two?
No.
No?
I'll hunt with 0.4. I never shoot anything over a 0.6. But I've taken game with 0.4, 4, 5, 5. If I know I'm just going out specifically to hunt, I'll probably put on 0.5 and 0.6, but have
Yeah.
0.5, have 0.55 and 6, but have 0.5 with me in spare sets. If I know I'm just going out specifically for hunting, like, and my target is 0.4, 0.45.
Perfect. So we've got a couple more here, which was posted on Catapult Addict. So Lloyd Bolton asked, what made you first pick up a catapult, which we've already covered. Clicky Catapults. When did you start shooting? Again, we've covered that one. What do you do for a living, and how come you don't shoot a John Jeffries custom?
I'm a bricklayer by trade, and simply because it's cost. I'm not saying they're not worth the money, but right now I couldn't warrant paying the money for one. One day I will.
Yeah.
But not yet.
And
to me, it's still a tool.
Yeah.
And it's going to go in my pocket, get scratched up, beat about, and I don't have to worry about that because I spent £300-400 on a catapult or however much. One day I will.
David Stanton, are you the guy who balanced a golf tee on his slingshot to demonstrate a steady hand as seen on YouTube? If so, what arm exercises do you recommend, as I don't particularly have steady arms? Which I think someone corrected it and said it was slingshot sniper. But what sort of advice would you give on being able to hold things?
That wasn't me. I would... Oh, it's a difficult one. Just more and more shooting, basically. That's the main bit of it. I would say come down to a light band set.
I was going to say that.
To a light bore. But then I also know, like Ross Connor, he has to shoot a heavy band because the resistance helps him keep his arm still. So just try. My advice would be go lighter, and if it doesn't work, try go heavier. But the more you shoot, the more. Like I shoot really fast because from boxing, my arms and my hands are knackered. I've got a job to hold steady as well. But don't try shooting fast because you can do that or you can't. But go lighter and shoot more.
So we got a couple more again. So this is on another page. I've got so many questions here. I'll avoid the ones that we've already asked. Jose Guerrero, shout out to Jose. He's a great shot and a really good guy as well. He wants to know, how do you manage stress and anxiety at tournaments? Do you get shooters panic? If so, how do you address it? It's a good question.
No, I don't get anxiety or panic or anything at the shoot. So I go there to enjoy myself, and by shooting, I'm enjoying myself. So I don't feel any pressure. Don't get me wrong, I do put myself under pressure sometimes by wanting to win a trophy. But I don't I don't feel any pressure at all, and I think that's why I do so well, because I don't care. You know, I've gone there to shoot. I haven't gone there to have a nervous breakdown or anything.
It's funny you say that, because I remember the first 3-4 shots that I did, and it was the Hunter's course was the first bit of shooting we did. I wasn't doing all that great because I was more concentrating on what I looked like or whether I was hitting or not. Then all of a sudden, I was just hitting it because I just forgot about it. I was having a good time, and as soon as I forgot about things and started relaxing, it all come together again, you know. And again, it's an experience thing, as we mentioned earlier. You can't really buy experience. You can't get
the first competition I ever went to. I just slept the night before. And the morning, I was shitting myself in the morning until I got there, and then the same as you realise, it's not actually like I thought it was going to be. And
so then, sorry, go ahead.
So I don't. I don't get nervous. I don't get anxious. I just enjoy it.
The next one we got is by Rex Spurlock Jr. Out of our worldwide community, what stands out to you as a shooter that makes it a brotherhood, not just a hobby?
Sorry, you say that again.
He says, what out of our worldwide community stands out to you as a shooter that makes it a brotherhood and not just a hobby?
It's just going back to the community again, isn't it? Everyone, the support everyone gives. The chat, like Americans speak to us, we speak to Americans. We'd never have spoken to them about catapult.
Just meeting friends as well, you know. I've met some of my best friends through this hobby, and you know, people I speak to daily. It's madness.
Exactly. Like my teammates, I wouldn't have met them without a catapult. But now my life's better with them, innit? Well, I say that.
Some of them.
Actually, fuck them. No,
talking of
the community. There's no one thing about it that makes it what it is. It's the community.
Talking of teammates and some of them that you might consider a bit of a pain in the ass, we got Russ Connor. How many teeth has he had to have removed to fit in the bigger Corys?
He's a cunt. When was the last time you see yours, Russ, without looking in a mirror?
I don't think I've had so many questions where people have just been absolutely ruthless.
I knew it was going to happen.
Did have another one here. Let's have a look. So seems to have disappeared. Hang on a second. So I think it's the last one that we have, and that is by Richard Rogers. Which has seemed to have disappeared for some reason. Seems to have disappeared. I do apologize, Richard. For some reason, it's saying I need to enter a pin to restore my messages. So, unfortunately, I cannot ask that one, but I will ask Andy off camera once I find it. But yeah, that's it from me, Andy. That's a lot of questions we've gone through. I think it's just taken us about 45 minutes to get through all them. So you've done well there, mate, to hang on in there. But it's been great chatting with you. I just want to leave you with an opportunity just to kind of give a shout out to people, or if there's a message you want to give to the community, now is your time to do so.
Well, I just shout out to all the teammates, Team Grizzly, Rush your fat cunt, Dave, Phil, all of them, Jake, Kevin, the Beanie Brothers, Daryl, all them. They make make every day a laugh for me in the community. Like they do, they're brilliant. Dan and Aaron, you know, salt of the earth. Them two boys are yourself. And then brilliant meeting you that last comp was, well, it was like we'd known each other, like we grew up with each other. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
And just keep on keeping on. That's it.
Yeah.
There's no. Just keep these idiots out of the proper groups on Facebook, because we don't want to be restricted on what and how we can shoot. So yeah, just
be sensible.
Being you.
Yeah. So be sensible, enjoy it, do all the right things, and hopefully you can drive it forward. But it's been a pleasure having you on, Andy. And
thanks for having me.
I'm sure we'll talk soon. And it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, mate. So
Take care.
catch you soon, mate.
Take care, all. Ta-da.
Take care. Bye now.